Welcome back to Launching Logistics, the podcast where we explore the intersection of business, leadership, and the ever-evolving world of logistics and transportation management. I'm your host, Jim Becker. And today, we have an exceptional guest joining us who has made waves in the logistics technology space for quite some time. Michael Horvath, co-founder and chief marketing officer of Revenova. Now, if you're not familiar with Revenova, they are a transportation management system, a TMS provider that has built their whole system on the Salesforce platform and truly are doing some cutting-edge work in the logistics industry. Today's conversation is going to dive into how Mike and his team have developed a TMS solution that isn't just about moving freight, but also integrates deeply with CRM systems to help logistics companies scale and streamline, not to mention to succeed in a complex and competitive market. But Mike's story doesn't start with Revenova. In fact, his career path is a fascinating one, filled with lessons in leadership, technology, and resilience. We're going to talk about how Mike's experiences across different industries, from working in the telecommunications to being a co-founder of a successful credit management company, led him to his pivotal role at Revenova. We'll discuss how these experiences shaped his leadership style, his approach to solving complex business problems, and how they ultimately laid the foundation for what Revenova is today. Whether you're a leader in the logistics space, a tech enthusiast, or someone looking to better understand how innovation is reshaping the way we move goods, this episode is packed with insights. So grab a cup of coffee, sit back, and get ready to learn more from one of the top minds in transportation technology today.
Absolutely. It's so important to know what worked, what didn't work. And when you can adjust, that's fantastic. You know, it seems like you've got a lot of experience in the sales world, especially, going all the way back to Shop Talk. You spent 2 years there as a vice president of sales. Can you give us a little idea, like what was that like? And as we move into this conversation.
Yeah, you bet. I've taken quite a wild path through my career. I've had a lot of different experiences. Starting off sales, moving on to the tech side for a while. But always in software, high tech industry. Shop Talk was a startup, based in Chicago, and they were trying to change their business model. It was trying to be Groupon before the smartphone. So Shop Talk, its essential business model was, we're gonna make have a phone application basically, and we'll call you up and say, hey, Jim, are you interested in a $10 off Jiffy Lube coupon? There's local stores by you. And yes, I am. And it was all automated voice because there was no smartphone, so it was all automated voice. So shop to talk and shop, right? And you could call in and get different deals, different coupons, and you could get called and receive these coupons. And it would say, "Hey, what's your email address?" It would collect the email address, put it into a database. So voice to text, the whole voice telephony application scenario. And it's a real catalyst in my career because that's where I met like Dave Craigmile, our current CTO at Revenova, and other people that work at Revenova today, where we built a great relationship. And while that met with an untimely ending, because this was a good learning experience, because the company started off as a marketing company, to sell these coupons and help companies market their business. And when I came on board, I was coming off of my run at Quintus and Avaya in the CRM industry and selling software and telephony solutions, but on the tech side and the software side. What they wanted to do, the board of directors wanted to do, is saying, this marketing thing isn't really taken off. They'd spent a lot of money, it isn't really taken off. And I think in large part is because of dumb phones. If there was smartphones, it was a timing thing. I think it could have went really well. But they said, hey, the tech that we built is really interesting. It was voice XML, so it was the newer technology for voice apps. And they wanted to take that to market, voice XML solution and an application development solution that could run on any of the technology platforms that were doing voice apps. So the Avaya Conversant and Nortel and other types of IVRs, you could run these voice applications, or even up in the cloud with the Tell Me voice XML platform. And so okay, sounded like a really cool idea. A small company, got into it, and we were rocking and rolling. And but what happened was our investors were marketing investors, and they're looking for this return, and they had been in for a while, and they just said, you know what, we just aren't the right match for this company from an investor perspective, and we're out. And so one day we just walked in and they just pulled the funding on it. And we were on the verge of closing a very large contract with one of the very large IVR providers who loved our tech. And we tried to convince the investors, just stay in a little longer. We can, get this thing moving. But they said no. And so that imploded. But, key learning there is make sure your investors are matched with your business plan, your model, and your objectives as a company. And so I don't blame them because they signed up for something completely different. The company was trying to make, lemons, turn lemons into lemonade, by moving business models, and just didn't have the right match there. So it was a great experience for, many things that I did in the future was, who is behind, who's funding these software companies, because you got to make sure they're aligned with your goals and the timelines that you're going to need to get to where you want to go, right?
Absolutely. And you as a leader, it seemed like you really had a good grasp on what the vision was, even though the investors weren't aligned with that. It did get you to a role as a VP of sales over at eCredit. And what did you really take away from that? What did you learn being a VP of sales over at eCredit that really started getting your whole career start moving?
Yeah, yeah. The eCredit's another really good example of staying, networking with people, and lining yourself up with good people. So Jeff Dickerson, he was the CEO of eCredit, and Jeff and I had worked together at VMark Software earlier in my career. I was just a sales rep at the time down there, and Jeff was the VP of sales. And he and I had a good relationship, and done some really good things together. And when Shop Talk cratered, and I needed a job, I went, I started working my network, right? And Jeff at the time was starting to work with investment companies to try to turn around struggling software companies. And so he was brought in to eCredit to try to take it to the next level. And then so he's like, hey, I need someone I can trust. I need someone coming here and look at sales. I had a very successful sales career. Moving up through the ranks early in my career at Quintus Corporation and doing different things there. And so he's like, hey, Mike, I trust you. You know how to run sales. Come in here, evaluate who we got. Let's get this sales motion going. Let's get this company moving. I think their technology is pretty interesting. They got some good customers. It's just somewhat of a go-to-market problem and a sales process and a sales execution problem. So, got in there and, looked at everybody, and we had some good people and needed to just do some tweaks, but, really good people there. And, we just did some tweaks and really got that company moving. In which ultimately got acquired by Fidelity, and then they brought in a new team to take it from there. So that was I put that one in the win column, Jim. We came in. In fact, Jeff Parisi, who's now our VP of Sales, I met there. Jeff's a rock star, and one of the folks that helped us, move that company to the next level and ultimately get it sold. And he's still with us today. So I think a key takeaway there is. And the things that I had learned about from a great mentor at Quintus Corporation, who I learned a lot about being an effective salesperson as well as an effective sales manager. I applied those principles there, and moved that company forward, helped move it. There's a lot of great people, so it wasn't just me; just a lot of people point them in the right direction and help them get over the goal line. And we did a great job. And I think a key lesson there is, you work with people you trust, that are ethical and that you like and can do these types of things. You kind of check your ego at the door. It's hard on problems and easy on the people. So it's never about your idea. It's the idea. It's not about you. It's about it. And, we try to instill that type of culture, in everywhere I've been, which is, hard on the problem, easy on the people. Check your ego at the door. Anybody in the company can have a great idea. Evaluate the idea, not the source of the idea, and take it forward. So, that was a really good experience at eCredit.
Yeah, it seems like you really took the lead charge. You were able to see the distinctions in what was missing in a lot of those situations where, what you said there from a humanitarian standpoint, it's not necessarily the people because both you and I do great things, but we also have our mistakes and we fail. I fail on a daily basis. And I'm open to that vulnerability of those failures. What you've noticed is really it's not the people, but it's the processes. And if you work on those processes, you can really make something change. With that, you really took what you've learned at those two places and you co founded a company called Forceva. And I'd love to hear some information in regards to that because you spent a lot more time there getting you prepared for your current role. So we'd love to hear a little bit about that and what showed up there. How did you become a co-founder and who came with you?
Yeah. So Foresee was a great. It's really the culmination of a life's worth of work, starting at my CRM days, through the Shop Talk days, through e-credit days, and the challenge that we had at e-credit was when you have a ASP based solution that's over here that the credit people are using, it's not necessarily connected with the people that you're serving, which are the salespeople typically. Who I'm trying to do a deal. Can I do it on terms? What do I need? And they're like, fill out the credit app, and you know we'll get back to you in 5 days, or 3 days. We'll turn it around, right? And so one of the ideas that I had, it was to basically take the credit process and bake it into automation so salespeople could be served as if a credit manager was right on their hip, instantaneously, one-click credit check in the tool that they're using, right? So at the time I was looking, we were using Salesforce to manage all of our sales processes. And so I said, if I had a one-click credit check in Salesforce, I think people would buy that, because we had everybody that we'd ever talked to at the company and eCredit, which is now Cortera, they changed their name and they changed their business model, wanted to take what we had and wanted to become a data company, right? Sell credit reports, sell credit information, and do credit analytics. And I'm a software guy. And so that was kind of the mismatch. And primarily a software guy. I like data too. But I said, this is a really interesting idea. So Dave Craigmile, who was the CTO of Shop Talk, I went to Dave and I said, hey, Dave, I'd like to see if this is possible. I'd like to maybe start a company. And I went back to Jeff Dickerson, and who was the CEO at eCredit. And he goes, Mike, you're ready. You could start a company, and that's a good idea. You should go for it. And so, I had Dave. We built a little prototype to test it, see if it would work or not, and it would. And then we said, okay, well, let's start this. But how are we going to start this? We could bootstrap it, or maybe we could find somebody who's got a little money. And he goes, and I'm a sales and marketing and product person, ideator, and I also look at processes and I think about how we could efficiently make this go. Dave's a great technologist, and what we were missing was somebody that was like the business guy, who could kind of operationally and I stare at a contract and my eyes glaze over. Someone that loves the details, loves the financial side of the business. And Dave said, my brother, he works at Schneider Logistics. He's running the brokerage side of the business, but he's thinking about maybe making changes. He's been thinking about maybe getting into a startup as well. Let's talk to him because he's totally loves the financial side, good operational guy. And so, and knows a big, knows a local angel investor in Chicago. So we met up, and Charles loved the idea. He goes, my sales guys have this problem. Like, they could use this today. And I said, okay, well, let's do this. Let's go talk to our investor partner. And he loved the idea. So we started our business. So the three of us, and he said, we need a good sales guy who's, can think on his feet and all that to help us and go along and knows this business. And we said, well, Jeff Parisi. Let's bring Jeff along. So the four of us, me, Dave, and Charles, sort of kind of co-founded a company. And our first hire, which was like day 10 after we got some things sputtering, was Jeff. And the four of us, started, running with it at Forceva. And over the years, which was great, we were one of the early, what they call OEM providers at Salesforce. So an early company building business application on Salesforce. So we were in their program when they had like one or two people supporting the entire company's partners because it was so early. And we grew the business over 4 years, and we ultimately had Dun Bradstreet, Experian, and Equifax reselling our credit our product. And what it was simply was you could be in Salesforce, press a button to pre-qualify a customer on credit terms. You could do a deep dive credit analysis as if your credit manager did pull a credit report. It would automatically evaluate the credit report, look at it like a credit manager would look at it, come back with an answer. And you could do that all in under 10 seconds. So let's do a full-on credit review of this account, and it'll come back and tell you, yes, you can sell that $200,000 opportunity on credit terms, no problem. Net 30 terms, or come back and tell you net 15 terms, or come back and say, nope, you need cash. So it'd come back and tell you what you needed to do. And then it also would continuously check the credit risk of your customers. And then we evolved it into also collections management. So, the other side of credit. So we used to call it the 2 C's that CRM forgot: credit and collections, and it was baked right into the CRM.
That relationship, did that help you actually start and have that leverage at Revenova to like merge that relationship with Salesforce over to the other side?
Yeah. So when Equifax said they wanted, so we had a few suitors, and Equifax ultimately bought Forceva. And we transitioned into that, and for a while, and we still have people that were there that are still there today. And but ultimately, the three of us, Dave, Charles, and I, worked our way out of Equifax. Great folks over there, really great relationship. But we had a really good relationship with Salesforce, and our lead investor, we all did well on the exit, and Rich, who was the investor, says, boy, you guys are really interesting. You had a business plan. You executed on it for 4 years. There's no founder drama. You guys said you were going to do this. You said this might be the possible outcome. One of them happened. He's like, what are we doing next? Like, what that was fun. Let's do something else. And that's when Charles, with his experience at Schneider, said, we put credit and collections on, blended it on the CRM platform. I had it, my TMSs were all disjointed. I had one for LTL, I had one for truckload, intermodal. We did stuff with websites, and, none of it was tied in with my CRM, which we were using Siebel at the time. And none of it was tied in maybe with the back office. And he's like, I think there's an opportunity for us to build a multimodal TMS solution on the Salesforce cloud and take that same kind of model that we used for Forceva and with Revenova. So we came up, we started Revenova with the idea of we will deploy a multimodal TMS solution natively on the Salesforce platform, like we did with credit and collections. And, here we are today, 10 years later.
That is awesome. That was 2014, right?
Yeah. We just had our 10-year anniversary last summer. Yeah, this summer.
That's great. That's awesome. And so now you've been really just serving the whole transportation world for this TMS that has a robust CRM built in it already, because that is what the foundation is based off of. And then you were able to take the ingenious idea of like really having that multi-mode and really flow through there. And it seems like you've got a great customer base now over the last 10 years as well. Tell us a little bit more about your customers. What's the mix? How many customers do you have? Is this a monthly subscription type that Salesforce has? Because I'm familiar with Salesforce. I've been to Dreamforce. It's beautiful. That was a fun time. Really big. Hung out with Bono for a day. So,
that's cool.
So tell us a little bit about Revenova and how, you've worked your way through. You started out more in that chief marketing officer position, and then to executive vice president, and now the COO and also the co-founder, of course. Tell us a little bit more about Revenova so we can get a little understanding where you're at now, what you're doing, how big are you, and what's on the horizon as you step into the future.
Yeah, you bet. So, Revenova, we started off where on the TMS side is with an architecture, like you mentioned, on Salesforce. And it's really part of our secret sauce. And we're not dependent on any Salesforce application. So Salesforce is really cool. If you think about it, the way I like to explain it is it's like an iPhone or an Android phone. It's a platform that you can put applications on, download them off of a store, And Salesforce, of course, itself has a market leading, industry leading CRM solutions for sales and marketing and service and commerce and all kinds of applications that they deliver. But the platform is also just stands independent of itself. So it's Revenova, we can go out and sell our TMS without any Salesforce applications at all because we run on the core platform of Salesforce. So it's like the iPhone or an Android phone. TMS runs on it. If you want to bring Salesforce's Sales Cloud onto it, you just download it. They share accounts and contacts immediately. There is zero integration. It's the same data. And it all shares the same security profile, all shares the same reporting infrastructure, et cetera. It's just basically one big unified data model. So the beauty of that for our customers is, you can focus way more on innovation and less on integration. And as you know, if you have a CRM over here that's on one tech stack and your TMS is on another tech stack, and you've got, maybe your accounting is on a third tech stack, you're trying to synchronize master data all the time, trying to get the some of the sales data into the TMS because it's redundant keystroking and all of that. And we basically eliminate all that. You can run your entire business on the Salesforce cloud, all the way from quote to cash. We have a native accounting solution that we partner with or another vendor on the ecosystem, but we just resell it. And so that's our kind of secret sauce relative to just how we put our application into the market. I think also what we do is also differentiating because we took this big picture approach to transportation management. We help you sell freight. We help you price it. We help you get capacity. So it's not just kind of operational TMS, but it's thinking about how you sell and market to your customers, how you sell and market to your carriers, and then the transaction flow in between from quote to cash. So the what that we also provide is also very robust. And we started off with brokers because that's what Charles had the most expertise in. And at the time I knew very little. I read some books, but most importantly sat with local brokers and just said, okay, show me what you do, how you do it today, where it's fallen down, where you love it. And we had a few early adopter customers that said, I love this concept. This will, if I can get this kind of concept in play, I think it would, really flatten my IT costs, make me more profitable as a result and be more nimble as a result. And I can compete with the big guys. So, we started with smaller brokers where they're like, okay, I can be more nimble. I can compete with the CH Robinsons and the Echo Globals of the world. I can bring innovative things to my customers that I couldn't do with my own. I don't have the IT resources to do it. But, with this approach, I think it can happen. And, from there, it just took off, so we started with, truckload brokerage, LTO brokerage, and then, all the other kind of ground modes, bulk, heavy haul, flatbed, specialized things you might do, anything moving by truck, basically, expanded into drayage. And now we're looking to expand things that we do on intermodal and freight forwarding, both, ocean and air freight forwarding internationally. Our core design was always multi-currency, multilingual by definition. So we have a lot of cross-border companies and a lot of people that do business in North America primarily, but companies that have footprints overseas as well. And you can transact in any currency. You can sell it to your customer in one, buy your freight services from a carrier in another. It does all the right conversions and comes up with a number in your corporate currency to tell you how profitable it was. So if you were buying carriers in Canadian dollars and selling to the customer in Mexican pesos, no problem. In your US reporting currency, it'll do all the right stuff and give you the right answers. So that was, our vision at the very beginning was, let's not limit ourselves. Let's not limit ourselves to a mode. Let's not limit ourselves to a currency or a language. Let's build a way to build out logistical moves and manage that, sell it, procure it, transact through the process. And over time, we would build out more and more sophistication across each mode. And that's what we've been doing for 10 years is just, going deeper and deeper and deeper into the different modes and expanding our mode footprint. So, the future will continue to expand modes and, go geographical footprints. And then, we also will be looking, across the supply chain in general to see where else we might expand. 2 years ago, Viking Global Investors bought Revenova and put a lot of money into our balance sheet because they really love what we were doing. This goes back to my conversation with Shop Talk, which was when we were looking at people started approaching us because we were successful. We had 100 plus customers at the time. 8 I think of the top 100 global 3PLs or North American 3PLs rather were using our solution. we have a lot of things going, and we still have a lot of things going, even despite the economic headwinds. We're bringing on customers, new customers, some really exciting customers are doing really exciting things. And Viking said, they came in and they were evaluating it, and just me and Charles and Dave in the meeting, and you'll get a kick out of this one. It's like, yeah, hey, you guys are running this company profitably, and why aren't you running at a loss, and investing heavily? We're like, well, and then of course they're all Ivy League guys and really smart, really really smart. And I'm like, I went to Northern Illinois University, and they taught me in business school that you needed to run the business profitably, or you'll end up going out of business. So we kind of made a joke about that, but we when we started the company, we had a couple of goals in mind. One was we were going to run a really good company. We wanted to have a good company culture. We were going to hire ethical, smart people. We were going to have fun doing it. We're going to run it profitably, and we're going to let the chips fall where they may. And we weren't going to just run and chase money and then just try to grow the business and thrash. You've seen the companies out there in our industry, right? They get tens of millions of dollars. They hire 400 people. 2 years later, they're not the shiny object anymore. They fire 200 people, and we didn't want that kind of culture. We didn't want that kind of dynamic. We said we're going to grow. We're going to grow at a good pace. It will grow as fast as we can digest customers and keep them happy. Because we're very focused on we want our customers to be love us, to be happy. We've spent a lot of time and effort and energy over the last couple of years building out our customer success teams, our support teams, and we actually build all that stuff out first before we expanded our sales effort. So we said we want to be in a position to take on business faster, not go get business faster and just scramble and try to how to figure it out. So we've been really meticulous about that, and so we're in a really good position now. The company's grown. We were 16 people when we were acquired. We're probably close to 80 now, and we've built out every section of the organization to really go after growth in the industry. We see a lot of opportunity, with our approach, and our investors are 100% behind us. Really are, want us to grow, and we're looking at all kinds of really interesting things that we might do in the future, with that kind of investment behind us. And so it's a fun time, and taking on the COO role, as like as a founder, you do everything. You change the water bottles, you clean the desks, you do everything you have to do. And initially, I stayed very focused on the sales and marketing effort. To obviously you got to get customers and get your name out there, brand recognition, and I still have a hand in all of that. But being able to grow the company and bring on a lot of different people to do a lot of the things that I used to do in the day-to-day of the company has now allowed me to focus more on overall operationally on the company, interdepartmental operational efficiencies, more strategic initiatives that we're looking at, and evaluate them, and take the time to really evaluate that kind of strategic stuff, do the analysis and those types of things. So that's been a lot of fun for me, because in many ways I was doing a lot of that as well as all the other day-to-day things. And now we brought a CRO on a few months back, Jeremy Stepp. Has got a lot of industry experience, and he's taken on all the go-to-market stuff as far as marketing, alliances, customer success, and sales. And so I'm still involved in it, more from a strategy perspective, but more now really thinking strategically, where do we take the company? How do we get there? What are the right alliances for us? Even M&A, should we go buy a couple companies to do this? Do we grow it organically? So having all those types of kind of meetings internally and working with Charles on that stuff has been fun.
That's awesome. I love what you've done with the company. I love the growth. I've loved the, you know, getting a financial partner to come on in. Just amazing. It seems like that your leadership style, you have a certain way that you lead. I've got two styles that I use at different times. First is a servant leader, and I'm always serving. How can I serve not only our customers, but also our employees? Second is a transformational leader. And it seems like that you've learned a lot of lessons going all the way back from all of those previous positions and what happened with those companies along the way. What has shaped your leadership style through your journey to where we're at right now?
Yeah, what shaped it is I'll go back to the mentors I mentioned earlier. John Scala, Jeff Dickerson. I learned a lot about, managing people, dealing with problems. First, company issues, customer issues, employee issues, and watching, people that did it well and watching people that didn't do it well, quite honestly. But those two guys did it great. They knew how to get the most out of people that were working for them. They did it in many ways. And I also take a little bit of influence from my father, who I think was a great leader in and of himself, World War II veteran, law enforcement officer, and great dad. And some of the lessons that I learned from, dealing with people, just what I learned from my father, and the lessons and things that I learned from that interaction. So, all those things I think have come to. I've always been a very glasses half full, optimistic person. I've always, I kind of believe in, you praise in public and you discipline in private. So I do, and I think as far as management goes, is you just set expectations. You don't helicopter. You get people goals and objectives. You let them, go ahead, get out there and learn. You watch to make sure, you keep them, use the guardrails, but don't puppeteer. And you help develop their skills. And I've watched that. And that's, I have to be, I think one of the great things that I take away from these companies that I've been had a hand in co-founding is it's a whole lot of fun to say, this crazy idea that we had where we came up with a name that meant nothing and started a business. And now we have a brand in the industry people recognize, and we're employing about 80 people, and they're all making a good living and they're enjoying their work. And you're helping them grow, and you're mentoring them, and you're career pathing them. We've moved people around the company. One of my best stories at Revenova is we had a developer he started with the company as a customer service person, a project manager, and we were in the same little office in Chicago. So there's like 5 or 6 of us working, 12 feet apart, startup days. And he's like, I hear him on the phone, and I'm like, and he was really good at developing product too. And he gets off the phone one day, and I'm like, Tony, I go, I think you don't sound happy. Like you don't sound happy. He goes, I'm not sure this is what I'm great at, And I knew he was a great developer, and I go, well, I told him, you're a really good developer. Would you like to get on our development team? He's like, can I do that? And I'm like, of course you can. I go, you've got the skills, and if that's going to make you happier, and one of the things, and we moved him over there, and he's a rock star, he's one of our best, and has been one of our best for years. And I tell everybody who comes into the company, I said, you're going to come in at a certain level, and you have the skills for that, and we think you're going to be good at it. But as the company grows and new positions open up, and you think that's something of interest, we'd love to promote from within, and move people around as they see opportunities to advance their own careers, as well as advance the capabilities of our company. And we've had very, very little turnover. It's a handful over the 10 years. The people tend to stay here, and I think that's a big part of it. Is I think our culture is really accommodating, and we've hired a lot of people that across the spectrum. Some people, industry veterans, as well as young people right out of college who, are full of fire and brimstone, are really smart, have skills, need to be refined. And that's fun helping them, move around and grow in the position. And we hired a few young guys, and they were in the office, and they wanted we had an office up in Bannockburn, and they wanted a downtown office. And we're like, hey, you know what? When you guys kind of get in here and get a feel for everything, we'll consider opening up a downtown location, because it's a lot closer to where they live. And nobody under the age of 30 wants to live in sleepy Bannockburn, right? But beautiful area, but it's, the young people don't want to be downtown. It got to a point where we're like, okay, we're going to open up a downtown office. And then some of the young guys, and we had been working together for a while, and they're like, hey, we some of you guys like come downtown too, because like we learn a lot from you old guys here. We learn a lot from you guys. Like, we would like to be able to turn around and say something, or you'd hear them struggling on the phone, and you'd like say, hey, you know what? Try this, right? Try this, or try that, or try this. And that's a lot of fun, being able to impart that kind of knowledge that you've learned through the wars. Taking the scars and saying, hey, you know what? I can help you overcome that. Here's how you should approach it. Try this because it's worked for me in the past. And that's a lot of fun. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I love what you just said there. And It's pretty interesting too, from employees out in the suburbs, because at our corporate, it's out in Glendale Heights, and we wanted to also have people down in the city. And when you balance that out, like really taking care of your employees and opening up that office in the city where they could go to nowadays, 95% of workforces are remote, or off of a shift, if you will, a couple days here and a couple days here. One thing I do want to say is, my father did the same thing. I had a father and I had a stepfather. I have a stepfather, I should say. And my father taught me really how to be a great father, right? And how to be a great husband. That's what my father taught me. Now, my stepfather, he really taught me that our word is something that no one can ever take away from you. And that's something that I live by. And I kind of heard it from you through the same lens, because my stepfather was an MP. Both my parents were in the Vietnam War, and my dad was on a river rat out in Vietnam, and my stepfather was a MP in the war. And it's just really interesting how along the way these mentors come by and they really help us, and they help us be dynamic. Just like when you're listening to the guy on the phone and you're like, you're not happy, are you? We could get you over here. I love how you're able to pivot, and I can just hear it in your speaking along the journey as I listen to you. It really brings up another good point of really, how do you approach decision making when balancing the needs of customers, employees, and that long-term vision that you're really looking at now?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and it is a balance, and I think that's a great way to put it. There's multiple philosophies. The old Southwest Airlines CEO, I think Herb Keller, I think his name was, is like, hey, I focus 100% on my employees, because if I have happy employees, I'm going to have happy customers, right? And and then there's the other philosophy. The customer is always right, and go that route. I tend to fall somewhere in the middle on that one, which is I believe you got to have a great company culture. You got to take care of your employees. Happy employees will take care of their customers. So they like working there, and they see it as it's almost like a family, right? They see the customers as almost an extension of their own, inner circle, if you will. And so they go the extra mile to take care of the customers, because it's personal to them, right? It's not just a job, it's an adventure. But it is the type of culture we try to instill. So it's really trying to do both. On the customer side, as we grow our customer base, it gets more and more challenging, right? To get, every customer's got wants and needs, and they want to do those things. And we've done a lot of work there trying to quantify how to approach new features to keep customers happy. And it's a scoring model. It's something that we've implemented, and it's trying to, when we make decisions on what to build next, it usually falls into that. That scoring model helps us objectify that. And then we stay in touch with our customers. Our customer success team now is doing QBRs, quarterly business reviews with them. Is there 20 all day every day if they have a need. We're doing all kinds of enablement sessions. What we find is our TMS does a lot of stuff, and people over the years, they forget about half the things that it does. And so they're like, hey, I want you to integrate to this partner. And you're like, you can do that right in the TMS. You just turn these tabs on, and off you go. And so we're doing a lot of work to there, and decisions usually fall down to, usually they're not like either or, like do what's right by the employee or do what's right by the customer. It's usually a decision it usually accomplishes both in most cases, not always. But I think when we come down to decision making, we want to keep our employees happy, and turnover is always a bad thing. I think you got to bring new people on, and it's just disruptive, and it's time consuming, and it draws on productivity. So, we try to strike a balance. I would say the good news for us is that we haven't had many like situations where a decision was, either good for the customer and bad for the employee, or great for the employee and bad for the customer. It's usually you're getting win-win situations out of things, and they're decisions on, maybe what areas to grow first and faster than other areas. And it is We are very, very customer focused. So I would say that, it's really both, but, we want to keep our existing customers as happy as possible and keep them growing and be that strategic business partner for them. And the same thing with our employees, be that partner for them too in their career paths, and serve both masters. And I think we do it pretty well. I'm happy with the way things have gone so far at the Revenova.
Well, that's awesome. And it sounds like it has gone well. And I've seen your company over the years, and even did a demo, and really got to see what your software is really like. And being an ex Salesforce customer, I could see that. And you're right. All these customers that are asking you for this or that or the other thing, one has to be very careful which road they go down, and really what's the return on investment there as we're moving forward. And is this really needed for all, or is it just for one as you make those modifications? Another
Yeah.
good question I want to really throw at you is, when it comes to customer service, or really customer experience, how do you see the role of customer experience evolving in the logistics space or transportation industry overall?
Yeah, I guess I'll take that from two perspectives. Our customers are looking to really delight their customers, right? So when they think of, so we focus a lot on that because it's our customers stay in business because they delight their customers. And so having features and functions that they can extend out to their customers and partners is a very important feature of the system. And that's where we have a lot of advantages, because that's the whole idea behind CRM, right? Customer relationship management. So when you look at all the tools and things that Salesforce has to offer at the core level, but also in their complementary application suite, our customers have a cornucopia of things that they can draw from to deploy to make their business unique. At the same time, because it's not always a one size fits all type of solution. People do have unique business processes that they want to deploy, and that is one of the hallmarks of, I think, Salesforce's CRM in general. But the platform capabilities, the workflow capabilities, the way you can change the entire user experience for your employees and your customers and not break anything, which has been a historical problem in software in general. Is you get the screens the software vendor tells you, and they have some configurability, but the flow is rigid or the screens are somewhat rigid. And in our world, there's a nice separation of data model against flows against UIs that you can wire UIs to your heart's content. And it challenges us sometimes on the support side, because you look at what customers are using how they're using your application. You're like, I've never seen anybody deploy all those things the same way you have. And so, but that's also the advantage, and it's supportable. It's how Salesforce grew to be their multi-billion-dollar company, because they offer the same. It's the same architectural construct. So we just leverage that in the world of logistics. What we do for our customers, and we've grown this significantly. Early on it was talk to the co-founders. What do you need? You get it next week. You can't do that forever. But we have a really good process for customers. We use Salesforce Tech, internally as well. So, Service Cloud, and you create cases, and they have escalation paths, and they turn into what we would call customer requests for product changes or customization requests that our customers want us to do. And those have workflows and escalation paths. And, all the things that get prioritized on the product, go through that scoring kind of, is it for one customer, 10 customers? Is it a core module? Is it something that's, sort of specific to something else? And those things score up and they tend to bubble up. And those will be the things we tend to tackle first. We do put out 4 releases a year, and they typically have dozens and dozens of features. So we move pretty rapidly, and moving towards a daily build scenario where we could deploy new features daily if need be. But we're keeping it sort of quarterly pace, because our customers can only digest them so fast as well. As you roll these things out. But we introduced a customer success team this year, that the people that their whole job is to keep the customer happy, and that's including these enablement sessions that I mentioned before, QBRs, where they bring executive to executive meetings. We have a customer advisory board. We actually have a nice meeting coming up in January in St. Pete, get everybody out of the winter and come down to Florida, and where it'll be a strategic session with about 14 customers that advise us on where their heads are at strategically in the industry, where they see things going, what they want to do, and so we can get those types of collaborative discussions going with the executives of customers across the spectrum of customers that we have, large ones, mid-sized ones, and smaller ones. We're not the mom and pop solution for TMS, so we don't have very many small customers. We're usually in that mid-market to large customer base, and but we like to bring in a cross section of them, so it's not just the big customers get everything. Some of our smaller, more mid-sized customers are doing very, very interesting things, as opposed to some of the larger ones that maybe are very good at certain modes of operation and just really crush it at those things. But some of them do. Some of the smaller ones are doing very specialized, very unique kind of logistics things, which really open your eyes to how can you deliver features and functions that can service that group, as well as extend that to other people that might want to also do that type of thing in the future with their businesses. So one thing I have found is our customers are really like to talk to one another, and want us to facilitate that more and more. So this CAB is our first kind of big group meeting, and we're going to follow that up with a user conference later in the year, with all kinds of sessions and networking, so our customers can work together behind some initiatives that we have that'll make it easy for our customers to work together. We introduced a shared pricing real-time rating database last year, and it's really getting traction. And in the world of AI that we see, which is probably the most interesting thing everybody's talking about today, we call this real intelligence, nothing artificial about it, because it works like the stock market. As spot quotes come into every participating member, the spot quotes immediately move into the aggregate database, and then everybody has visibility to them, so you can track how rates are moving in real time in markets, right? And so we're really excited about that, and that's our first foray into some of these shared service things that we can deliver back to our customers in ways which they're willing to participate, in ways that they want to consume it. So anonymized, we're not compromising relationships with that, but it's just a view into the market where you can segment it by ways that are non-disclosure. So again, everybody protects their carrier relationships, and I would too if I was a broker or 3PL. You don't have a carrier, you can't move customer freight, so you really want to protect those relationships. Everybody's free to market to everybody, but you don't want to give up the goods to your competitors. But everybody seems to want to know, hey, I'll compete on my merits, but kind of where's the market at? Pricing, is it moving up? Is it moving down? Is capacity tightening? Is it loosening? And those are the things that we're doing a lot of work in to help our customers get a better picture of that, so they can make good business decisions.
That's awesome. I love what you're doing with the customer advisory board, the CAB, and coming up with a convention coming up that your people can come to, and being remote is great. Bringing everyone together down there would be really beneficial, and getting that mix of large customers, mid-sized customers, and the smaller customers is fantastic. Two things that I have for you as we wrap things up here now. Revenova, I would love to hear the name and the genesis of it. Where'd you get that? And then also to back that up, TMS technology is really advancing quickly as you talk about AI or, real intelligence. What trends or innovations do you really see shaping the future of transportation management systems over the next 5 years, say?
Well, Revenova was a brainchild of me. It wasn't very complicated, and we didn't hire any big marketing firms. We wanted a name that was just agnostic. It meant nothing, so it didn't pigeonhole us. We didn't want to be something transportation management or anything. We said, we're going to start a company that's focused on TMS solutions. Who knows where it's going to go? So let's keep something, relatively agnostic. We were looking for a 3-syllable word, but nothing, really came out, because we were just going up and looking for available .com URLs. So Revenova was a really a smash together of revenue and supernova, and Revenova. It's a revenue supernova. You blow up your revenues numbers by buying our product. But it was really just Dave, Charles, and I sitting around in a room with a couple beverages, going on this, looking at name business terms, smashing them together into some nonsensical name, seeing what came up. And Revenova, we all looked at, say, hey, kind of got a nice ring to it. Revenova.com is available. Let's buy it. Revenova, here we go. As far as trends, I mean, AI is the big thing now, both on the predictive AI side and the declarative AI side. We're doing a lot of work in that area. Salesforce is doing a ton of work in that area. So having a tech partner like Salesforce on the platform side, with big data combined with AI, gives us a lot of technology mojo. We hired a VP of engineering that came off of Wall Street, who was used to building all kinds of highly reliable, high performance, sub microsecond, millisecond, nanosecond response time stuff. So, he's brought a lot of engineering moxie and folks that he's brought along with him to the team. And we've got a number of initiatives right now on the AI front. Where I think it goes is, you can imagine a world where the AI is trained enough and smart enough to act like you would when you were on the phone. I mean, to the point where it could even be like, you've seen the deep fake videos already, right? It's not a stretch. I mean, the technology is all there, and has the power to be, so good. It also has the power to be very destructive. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be one of the things that everybody has to look out for. But you could literally have a automated agent that, I could have a Zoom call with you, and I am basically responding to you with an AI engine that is being responsive, but in a human-like way, not the robotic, telephone, press 1, press 2, press 3 thing, but literally having a conversation with you about what you want. And it's smart enough to understand what you're asking, smart enough to formulate a nice declarative response. And you can imagine the power of that, because that's a 24/7 available person, never takes a vacation, never is sick, is, reading the data, is just working off the data that you have in the system, and is just doing those things. So those are some of the things that, I think where the industry is going to ultimately get to. I mean, the entire world gets to, in terms of these types of interactions, especially on the customer service side and potentially even on the sales side. We're doing work right now where digesting, unstructured data, turning it into, information structured data, so we can respond with a quote, just do those types of things. We've already worked with stuff where we pull in, carrier invoices, strip all the documents of the data, classify each page of the document, turn it into data that we can then use to settle out with a carrier hands-free. If it's if they quoted 1,800, they send you an invoice for 1,800, all the POD documents are there. Even if it's in one big PDF, we can now split it all up. And we're doing this through a combination of things that we do and what partner technologies that we've partnered with. And, it settles the invoice. It settles with the carrier. It could put it back up in a TriumphPay network. It could offer them a quick pay, and literally nobody in accounting ever touched it.
That's awesome. That's called data scientist at its finest.
Yeah. So, those types of things, I think, are big productivity gainers for, customers, because they're doing that manually in many cases today. A lot of people don't trust the tech, so they're still kind of letting the tech do the heavy lift, do all the data scrape, do all the document build. Then they want to eyeball it and then let it go, which is fine. I mean, having those options, we tend to, on all these automated things, have ways for you to like babysit it, and then when you feel comfortable with it, let it go fully automated. But we'll see where the AI stuff takes. It's the buzz of this, for the last probably year and a half. Prior to that, you had, blockchain.
Before we wrap things up, how do people get a hold of you, Michael?
Yeah, the easiest thing is M Horvath at Revenova.com. You can ping me on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn as well. Those are probably the two easiest ways to get a hold of me.
Well, beautiful. Well, listen, thank you so much for really being here. It was a pleasure getting to know you a little bit better. We've known each other for many, many years. And really, to let everybody else really get to know Revenova as well as yourself, and to really just see the journey that you've been on. It's a miraculous journey and astonishing, if you will. Really love what you've done, and keep going. The wind's behind you and the sail is lifted. So enjoy the journey, my friend. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And maybe we can do it again sometime.
All right. Thank you, my friend. Have a
Yep,
great
take care.
evening.
And that's a wrap on this insightful conversation with Michael Horvath, co-founder and chief marketing officer of Revenova. I don't know about you, but I feel we've just scratched the surface of what's possible in the logistics and transportation management world, especially as technology continues to push boundaries of efficiency, innovation, and customer experiences. Michael shared so many valuable insights today, from the lessons he's learned throughout his diverse career to the thought process behind building a company like Revenova. From the ground up was amazing. It's clear that combination of strong leadership, a commitment to innovation, and a deep understanding of both technology and the logistics industry is what really propelled Revenova to the forefront of the TMS space. One of the key takeaways for me was when Mike emphasized on his importance of the company culture and hiring the right people. It's not just about having the best technology, though Revenova certainly has that covered, right? It's about creating an environment where your team is empowered to really innovate, to take ownership, and to work in collaborative ways towards a shared goal. Mike's leadership style, which is described as a blend of both setting a clear goal and also giving his team the freedom to execute, really resonated. It's no surprise that Revenova has experienced very little employee turnover over the years, which is a testament to the strong value-driven culture they've cultivated. I want to thank Mike once again for joining us today and sharing his journey, his vision for Revenova, and his thoughts on where the industry is actually heading to. And as always, if you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to subscribe to Launching Logistics and leave us a review. We've got so many more exciting guests lined up, and we can't wait to continue bringing you more conversations that really matter in the logistics, leadership, and business world. Until next time, stay innovative and keep pushing forward.